wanted to say a few words about my trip. Some of you have followed me, others don't have a clue what I'm doing. But all of you are my friends. I thought about doing this on Facebook Live, but as I was paddling I thought, a lot of naysayers out there, fearmongers, and I think I'll just stick with people that at least know me a little. So, I started 4 days ago at Wilderness State Park near Mackinac, and I paddled out that long peninsula there, and Waugoshant's Peninsula, and went out to Waugoshant's Lighthouse and crossed my first shipping lane on Sunday, and then paddled all the way to Hog Island. From Hog Island, visited a bunch of little places and camped, and broke a paddle. Had to use my spare, and so I went to Beaver Island, to the harbor there, St. James, and which wasn't on my itinerary, but they have a shop and I got a spare paddle. Spent the night, and then headed on from there. And when I was on Beaver Island, I met the sheriff, and he is the one who actually owns Squaw Island, where my next destination was, and he gave me permission to stay on his island, and I slept on the porch of his lighthouse last night. So anyway, I've been doing this for 5 days, over 60 miles on a paddleboard with all my gear, living off the lake, fishing, just having an incredible experience. Some of them were rough and others not. If you want to check out my posts, you can see. But I did want to take an opportunity here. I left this morning from Squaw Island, and this was my second and final shipping lane. And I wanted to thank people that helped me get across those shipping lanes. Well, first of all, I want to thank my wife, Jana, for letting me do this. And then Jimbo Cottam, who always keeps his eye on me and was monitoring the Boat Nerd page to see which direction ships were going and sending me messages on my Garmin device. And then finally, the Coast Guard. They're not really supposed to take care of individual boaters and follow them and that sort of thing, but they did, and they followed my tracker. So thank you to the Coast Guard, as always, and for all the amazing things that they do to keep us safe out here on Lake Michigan. So here I am. I'm on Lansing Shoals Lighthouse. I've dreamed about this since I first saw it on Google Earth, and from space it looks pretty impressive. It's this big masonry structure just jutting up 30 feet out of the water, and it's really to warn the ships, because the shipping lane is out there, and it's not very wide. Coming out of Mackinac, it's only a couple, 2 to 3 miles wide, and if they come to this side of this lighthouse, there's shoals, so that's not a Lansing Shoals, that's why they call it this. So basically the shipping lane is everything going about 3 miles there. So if you notice on my tracker, I actually went west first to get across the shipping lane and then came up. So I stayed out of the zone. And then of course the Coast Guard this morning told me directly there weren't any ships within 100 miles of me. So anyway, I made it. I'm very excited. Drinking some water. It's pretty hot out here, trying to keep my skin covered. And I just wanted to say a few words about the lake, and it's a beautiful lake. If you haven't been out on Lake Michigan, it's crystal clear, but it hasn't always been that way. I grew up near Milwaukee, and in 1972 this lake was basically dead. There was a National Geographic magazine showing deformed catfish, and Lake Erie was on fire, and I remember reading that when I was 12 and thinking how sad it was. And now we have this crystal clear lake. It could be better. There's still problems with plastic and other things, but I want to thank all those politicians that worked back in 1972 to legislate cleaning the lake up. And it's really, the whole thing is, when I paddleboard out here alone, you're very aware that life is a dance. It's not a one person's in charge. Clearly, if one were in charge, it would be the lake over me. But I get to dance with it, and I learn its moods. For instance, I learned on this trip that if I felt more moisture on my left cheek than my right, I would look over, and often there would be fog rolling in off the west side of Wisconsin coming up with the wind, but I could feel it before I could see it on my cheek. There's little things like that. The waves will change subtly. Sometimes the wind and the waves will be going different directions. You know, I can feel the water, all kind of things. So, you know, when you're on a paddleboard, you're not just standing up, you're moving with the board, you're dancing with the lake. And so that was the metaphor that I thought of is, you know, as we go forward on the planet, and I don't work for anyone, I'm not here to, I don't have a sponsor, I'm not getting paid, and I don't work for any political group, but I do love the water very much because it's been my medium. And I would say that the metaphor going forward for the planet would be that we need to dance with it. We're not going to go away, humans, but for instance, these lighthouses were built before the ships could be safe without them, and now they can be safe without them. So there's a whole change, and some of them are being taken down, like the dams, and others not, because, you know, technology can fail. But now we're working with all the plastics and the oceans and things, and that's going to be a dance too. Creative people are making plastic alternatives and cleaning things up. So cheers to all that effort. So thankful for clear water, which this is Lake Michigan water, by the way. And well, I just thought of another subtle thing. I don't know why this just popped in my mind because I'm standing in bird poop, but when you come to one of these little islands, and I've been on all of them now except for one, I think. There's about 18 of them. You want to come in on the windward side if you can. The leeward side's easier to land on, but there's usually bird poop pooling in there, and I usually have to filter some water. So you want to filter your water on these islands from the windward side, so you don't try to rely on the filter to take all that poop bacteria out. That's just another example of dancing with nature. You know, learn. Poop on the lee side and no poop on the windward side. So young people need to come up with cool ways to do this. Well, that's about it. I'm really celebrating. You didn't get to hear my whoops and hollers when I arrived. Sorry, I'm a little off, but all I have now is about 6 miles to Patterson Point on the west side of the UP, and I will have traversed the whole lake, at the northern part at least, via the Beaver Island Archipelago. I love to say that, Beaver Island Archipelago. You know, I was going to do a FaceTime Live. I've done that before. Facebook Live, I should say. But I don't want to deal with the naysayers and the fearmongers, people that don't know me. They don't know that I've spent 5 years studying this lake and how much work I put into it to be safe and why I do it, you know. I hope those of you who follow me know that I don't do this to show how great Chris is. I'm really trying to show how great this is. So, anyway, trying to find creative ways to show my appreciation for the planet and the beautiful places that we can go. This is why the sunglasses are on. First of all, I can't see with them off because it's blindingly bright up here. But also, I knew I get kind of emotional when I talk about it, but I'm really here to just try to find beautiful, creative ways to highlight what I see. And I'm so fortunate and blessed to be healthy and to have people that support me to do this. So, anyway, yeah, and to the fearmongers, I wanted to say one thing before I close. This is Obi-Wan Lechner. Don't ever let fear be your master. Don't let fear be your master. It can be a teacher, and preferably it can be a friend, but don't ever let it be your master. So, the wisdom from Obi-Wan Lechner, who's dehydrated. And now I'm going to really show you how I celebrate. And this is going to be kind of racy. You've probably never seen one of your friends do this on live, but here we go. I'm going to give it a try. So you are going to get to see me with my sunglasses off. And we're going to take it a little further. Now, this isn't something I'm just dreaming up now. I thought about this when I first saw this place on the Google Earth. I thought I would love to live there, and every morning to get up and do what I'm about to do live. I will turn my back to you because I'm not that comfortable with this. And this is a celebration of Lake Michigan, and a celebration of clean water, and a celebration of life that I'm about to do here. And this is a little crazy, so I got to make sure I'm all oriented with my gear. I haven't got anything attached to me. I think I'm pretty covered. So, Lake Michigan, I love you.